Welcome to another Indie Dev Showcase, highlighting the many indie games we play here on the channel. If you'd like to submit a game for a future video, please reach out. But otherwise, let's begin. For our first game, we turn to Peaks of Yore. This is the demo build for it, with the main game still not out at the time of recording this. This is, as you can see, a mountain climbing or mountain falling simulator style game. It is your job to climb ever increasingly large and dangerous mountain peaks for fame, glory, and just because they're there. The game itself is built on kind of a somewhat realistic aspects of climbing. You'll control your left and right hands respectively, and you'll use a variety of tools to help you get up or set up kind of anchors as your own kind of soft checkpoints. The demo itself features a few basic ones as well as one advanced peak that kind of takes us into like getting over it territories in terms of size and structure. This is definitely not on the rage style things, despite the fact that yes, you can lose a lot of progress. It still feels really solid to move around and explore each area. There are going to be additional things you can unlock, and of course bonus challenges in the finished game. And I really enjoy this one because I'm always looking for kind of more challenging platforming or reflex-driven games that don't revolve around like super jank in terms of like the rage side. So if you like going up and going down in a few situations, then this is definitely a demo worth checking out and a game to keep an eye out for when it is released. We now turn to 4x4, and this was submitted by the developer to check out. This is a kind of survival style game. Each level you are pitted against a myriad of dots, projectiles, and other things coming at you from every angle, and you are graded on how long you can survive. The further you get, you'll unlock either additional levels, different colors, features, stuff like that. And this is a game that it starts out very simple, but it will certainly escalate. As the levels get longer, the patterns get even more challenging to dodge, and you're going to do your best like bullet hell dodging strategies in order to get by it. This one is certainly going to be on the harder side. If you're not a fan of the super precise bullet hell avoidance strategies, this game may not be the best one for you. But if you're looking for a challenging game, one with a whole lot of moving around to do, then this one could be worth at least a check. And now we have Rooftop Renegades. In this one, it is the far future, and in order to stick it to the man and those evil corporations, we are going to be auto-running our way across futuristic skyscrapers and more. While this game is an auto-runner slash auto-scroller, your main focus is on keeping your score up. That involves collecting various crystals, avoiding damage, and getting through levels as quickly as possible. As the game goes on, you'll unlock additional abilities and features that will allow you to do more in the levels. The auto-scrolling is pretty solid. Again, you can only do so much with an auto-scroller style design. And the game does feature multiplayer kind of asymmetrical and different kind of competition or versus modes for you and your friends to enjoy. This one was okay. Again, I'm not often a huge fan of the auto-scroller design style, but this one does feel like there is at least some legs, pun intended, to it. So if you're looking for a game that lets you perform a lot of tricks and don't stop as you're doing it all, then this one I think is at least worth a check and see if it is something that is up your alley. We now turn to a different kind of autoplay with Time Survivors. This is the demo build of it, but the full game should be out by the time you're watching this video. This is a bullet heaven, where we play as various historical figures who have come together for one and one thing only: survive against ever-increasingly waves of baddies. So, if you've been wanting to play a game where Abraham Lincoln must do all the bullet heaven hell dodging one could imagine, this could be the game for you. Like the other bullet heavens that we've played, the structure should be pretty much known at this point. You'll kill enemies, you'll level up and choose from different items that can be upgraded, synergies, and all that. Like the other bullet heavens, there is an extensive progressive or persistent options with a different kind of reward tree, which can unlock new base stats, new characters, and etc, etc. As for the feel of it, it did feel good to play. The weapon variety is certainly nice, and of course each character having different abilities, passives, and whatnot can also add to the fun. It still plays more like the kind of, I guess, like we're now like first generation of bullet heavens, so it does feel a little bit similar to that of Vampire Survivors. But there is certainly something here if you enjoy the bullet heaven theme and design, and I'm curious to see how it will try and innovate or evolve beyond that basic gameplay with the finished game. We now switch over to Lord Ambermaze. This is a kind of RPG adventure style game, but all done through the kind of style of a We Go roguelike. You have to save the princess and the world from an evil dark lord, but you have one thing on your side, and that is the ability to manipulate time one step at a time. So the game itself is played entirely We Go style. When you move, everything else moves around you, and you must set yourself up to be in the best possible position to attack enemies, avoid their hits, and of course not step on any traps along the way. So in terms of the gameplay here, this one again relies entirely on the We Go system, which means if you are not a fan of the kind of everything moves along with you kind of formula, this game is not going to change your mind on it. Now, this is not a roguelike. You're going to be exploring areas trying to make progress, get new unlocks and abilities, and there is a kind of progression to see this game all the way through to the end. So that does make it stand out from some of the other ones that we've played. I do wish there was maybe like a little bit more readability or clarity in the GUI in terms of when it's safe to move, what's going to happen if you're moved to another square, will you take damage, etc, etc. But there is still, I think, some potential here. Again, this is the demo build that we played, the finished game is not out yet. But if you enjoy an RPG adventure where you're going to be doing things very much on a step-by-step basis, then this could be worth checking out. And for the last game of our showcase this week, this is Neurosquad Slay the Horde. So surprise, surprise, this is another in the bullet heaven style. But what makes this one kind of differentiate itself from the other ones that we've played is that you have a kind of like modular system for upgrades and your own squad of kind of like holographic soldiers to aid you. How this one works is that you're still going to be surviving against waves and waves of futuristic robotic baddies. But when you level up and you can choose between different weapons and abilities, you can choose to unlock different squad members. These guys will follow you around, and you can attach new weapons or passives that can change the properties of weapons to them. So you not only have to decide between how your own character will level up, but what will you give your different squad members, how will you change the properties of their weapons. So there's a lot more malleability in terms of the combat compared to some of the other bullet heavens that we've played. Now, from the demo that you're seeing, it still felt like one of those games that once you kind of have a good groove going, it did feel a little bit on the easier side. There are going to, of course, be upgrades in terms of unlocking passive benefits, new maps, new challenges, etc, etc. But all the kind of like future sci-fi takes on the bullet heaven, there is certainly a lot of potential here. And again, I like the modular approach to your weapons and progression. So again, if you're already sick and tired of bullet heavens, and specifically the ones that kind of echo that of a Vampire Survivors, again, top-down shooter formula, this one may actually change your mind to some extent. But if you are completely against it, then there's probably not going to be anything here for you. but I still enjoy this one, again, as a fan of the Bullet Heavens, and with this one having a different approach to its combat and progression. So if you do still enjoy Bullet Heavens and looking for one that feels a little bit different in terms of its combat, I would recommend at least checking out the demo and keeping an eye out for the finished game. But with that said, we are done with another week of indie showcases. Thank you to the games that have submitted them, and as always, be sure to get yours in if you let me take a look at them for a future stream and video. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to do the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon, and come back for daily discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you some of the art and science of games.